We've got to make sure that we play with a level of physicality that doesn't allow them to just pass the ball around.
The Indiana Fever weren't supposed to win. They weren't even supposed to compete. On paper, they were already written off. No Caitlin Clark, no veteran leadership, facing the most complete and dominant team in the WNBA, and standing on enemy hardwood inside the raucous target center. The odds makers said it wouldn't be close. But on this night, the Fever tore that script to pieces and wrote their own story. And in the end, 6 words from Clark herself would echo through the league: everybody in the league is sick.
Around we're everywhere that they want to pass it, so we've got to make sure that we're disruptive. We got to make sure that we're elite.
This was supposed to be Minnesota's coronation. The defending Commissioner's Cup champions had rolled through the season with authority, led by the MVP frontrunner Nafisa Collier and armed with a 14-win record. They had home court advantage, a sold-out crowd behind them, and momentum so strong even Vegas put the Fever as 14-point underdogs. That's not a prediction, that's a declaration. The league expected a blowout. What they got instead was a storm. It didn't start with dominance. It started with fear. Fear that the Fever's momentum was dying just as the Commissioner's Cup final began. Caitlin Clark, the rookie sensation, the league's most talked-about player, was out for the 3rd straight game with a nagging groin injury. The cameras caught her during warm-ups, cheering, present, but clearly not ready to
at our on-ball screen defense. This is a team that reads really well, that moves really well.
Step on the floor. Her absence wasn't just tactical. It was emotional. Clark had carried this team. Her scoring, her vision, her presence, it all shaped Indiana's identity. And the absences didn't stop there. DeWanna Bonner, the veteran brought in to guide this young core, had stunned the locker room by quitting mid-season. 9 games in, and she was gone, waived after refusing to play. The message she left behind?
We've got to be elite at the point of attack on on-ball screen defense. We always talk about guarding our yard, being able to guard one-on-one. So
things don't go your way, just walk. That wound was fresh. And then there was the absence of DeWanna Dantas, called away to international duty, leaving yet another hole in a roster that already looked like Swiss cheese. So when the Fever walked into the arena, they did so with a patched-up roster, shattered expectations, and the weight of a season threatening to unravel. But something was different. You could feel it. The swagger was gone, replaced with something sharper: urgency. The Fever weren't just missing pieces, they were unraveling. They'd lost 3 of their last 5 games, squandering big leads and falling into isolation basketball. Aaliyah Boston, brilliant, dominant, was getting iced out. Guards weren't feeding.
Not in rotation early. I think for us it's going to have to start on the defensive end of the floor, so that allows us
her in the post. Ball movement evaporated. Every possession looked like a broken play. Clark wasn't just a playmaker, she was the glue. Without her, the team looked confused, disconnected, lost. That was the context when tip-off arrived. Indiana stood at center court not just facing a basketball team, but facing the doubts of an entire league. Minnesota had everything to gain and nothing to fear. Indiana had nothing to lose, except their pride. And then, something shifted. From the first whistle, Indiana didn't just look ready, they looked angry. They played like a team sick of being doubted, sick of being dismissed, sick of hearing about who wasn't there. Kelsey Mitchell lit the spark. Her drives in the first quarter weren't just aggressive, they were authoritative. She carved up the defense with precision, burying shots from deep and slicing into the paint
to get out and run in transition as well, but we can't allow them to just do exactly what they want to do on the offensive end.
With purpose. The Lynx couldn't keep up. Mitchell wasn't forcing shots. She was reading the floor and exploiting gaps. It was a masterclass. Then came the Boston breakthrough. Aaliyah Boston, who had been waiting all season for her moment, finally got the ball where she thrives, on the block, in rhythm, with space. And when she did, she punished Minnesota. Hook shots, pivots, post moves, kickouts, Boston did it all. She finished with a double-double and matched up toe-to-toe with Nafisa Collier, proving she belonged on that stage. But the heart of the win, that belonged to Natasha Howard. Howard played like she had something to prove. Maybe she did. The former Defensive Player of the Year delivered an MVP-level performance just when the Fever needed it most.
I know it's not a WNBA championship, but to celebrate a championship nonetheless on target center on the floor.
Her stat line, 16 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, only told part of the story. Howard was everywhere. She rotated on defense like a ghost, disrupted passing lanes, bodied up Collier, and ran the floor like a guard. She went 8-for-8 from the free throw line, and with every make, you could feel the Lynx shrinking. Sophie Cunningham added firepower off the bench with 3 massive threes and tough rebounds, giving Indiana the push it needed whenever the game tightened. Lexi Hull brought grit. Ari McDonald, newly signed, played like she'd been waiting her whole life for this moment. 12 points and fearless energy that made the Lynx look flat-footed. And suddenly, the Fever were rolling. The ball movement returned. The defense was locked in. 5 players hit double digits. The Lynx...
Yeah, I mean, we have a resilient group. You know, they're tough, mentally, physically. They pull for one another. You know, I don't...
Meanwhile, were smothered. They shot just 34.9% from the floor and scored only 39 points over the final 3 quarters. Every time Minnesota tried to claw back, Indiana responded. Boston, McDonald, Mitchell, they answered every run. No fear. No hesitation. Just execution. Inside the arena, a hush began to fall over the home crowd. The underdogs were flipping the script. The final minutes were the best kind of poetic. Indiana didn't just close out the game, they crushed the narrative. Final score, 74-59. A 15-point beatdown that silenced everyone who said they didn't belong. The locker room celebration was euphoric. And in the middle of it, Caitlin Clark stood tall, not on the court, but in the moment. She hadn't played a minute, but she was everywhere, encouraging, coaching, smiling. When the cameras turned her way, she said the 6 words that instantly broke the internet: "Everybody in the league is sick."